Welcome to In Tune, Quick Fire Edition, where the tempo is fast, the questions hit harder than our frontline run, and pan people keep it real. I'm your host, Vanessa. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce an inspiring voice in pan education and creative innovation, founder of Sach and Steel Ltd, Sachelle Thomas. Most recently, she's the author of the Steelpan coloring and activity book, and she lives by a mantra I just absolutely love. If you don't try or you don't ask, the answer is certainly always no. So let's talk pan, purpose, and powerful possibilities. Sachelle, you ready?
I am ready.
Perfect. Question one. What's the first thing you tell a nervous beginner on pan?
I usually tell them everybody has to start somewhere, and I once started where they were. That's the first thing I tell them. Yeah.
Common ground establishing, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start Sach and Steel?
Honestly, it was during the pandemic, or maybe it was an idea before the pandemic that I never had the courage to execute. But I guess being home during the pandemic, I had this extra time on my hands. I sort of noticed that there was a lot of misinformation or inaccurate information about pan and the culture out there that people would have been learning from. And simple things I would do a search for and couldn't find it. So I decided, okay, well, if there's no resource, then let me create the resource. It was actually supposed to just be 10 YouTube videos, and it sort of spiraled like 5 years later into what it is now.
Yeah, because people need that information.
Yeah.
And you're right, there was a gap. So, fantastic job.
Yeah.
All right, what's the most joyful moment you've had with a neurodivergent student?
Honestly, there's a lot. There's a lot. I feel like you're asking a hard question. So
These are going to be very hard questions if I did not say that before. So
we just start. Even if they don't execute an entire piece, if they could start singing along, because a lot of times where they may lack understanding in one area, they may be way past me in another area. So like, let's say for example, they start off and they're not really speaking, which is a common problem that I find with some kids that come play the pan that are on the spectrum. While they hitting each of the notes and tapping it with their hands or whatever we use at the time, they might start singing along and they might start matching the pitch and they might start finding their voice. So I think for me, that is probably one of the best moments to witness ever, to see the little progress as they go.
yeah, that's really rewarding stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What's your favorite teaching tool outside of the instrument itself?
I like using percussive things. So non-melodic percussion instruments. I usually like using that. So you could still tap along, you could still keep your beats, you could still create rhythms, things like the rain stick, drums, different things. Yeah.
Okay, very tactile stuff.
Yeah.
To get them, because the steel pan is very tactile. Yeah.
And
Excellent.
sometimes
Okay.
they need different types of sensory input.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Best country you've ever visited for pan week?
South Korea.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
Yeah, that was such an amazing experience. I feel as though it's not like to say, okay, I didn't have an appreciation for the instrument, but to see the way that people responded. I remember I was actually recording one time in a park. So it was a park on a bridge, a place that they used to do war like years ago, but it's been turned into a park. And I was recording and somebody was there with me and she was helping me like translate and record the video and stuff. And some of the people just stopped and they looked at the instrument and they waited until I finished. And then they walked up and they sort of like looked under, look around to see where this is plugged in from and where the sound is coming. And then when I did the workshops with the kids, they were so intrigued. I actually chose to play, I started off playing Korean music on it because I'm like, okay, this is my instrument, but this
Relatable.
is exactly. And they like the calypso. They like forget about the Korean music. They love the calypso and the soca and just the whole performance and the cultural exchange. Everything. It was a really nice experience.
Wow, that's nice. I mean, imagine 50 something years later, um, Task Force Steelpan musicians had that same experience where people were looking underneath to see where the sound is coming from. And here we are still. So there's so many untouched people and places as
Yeah,
far as Pan is concerned still. So I'm really glad that you were able to bring something new to some of the people in South Korea.
yeah.
Or maybe next time you'll venture to North Korea.
I don't exit that country.
All right. So what's one thing, sorry, the world, in your opinion, still doesn't understand about steel pan?
I think this is very simple, and I think it's a very simple fix. A lot of time outside of Trinidad, especially when people refer to the pan, they usually say steel drum instead of steel pan. Which to me, if you're gonna talk about it like that, it sort of implies that it's a membrane phone with like this stretched skin surface. So I think, like I said, it's a simple fix, but I think that's something that people still don't understand. Also, the cultural aspect of it. You know, it's not necessarily just an instrument, just this thing of national pride, but I think it really represents the resilience and the creativity of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not just at that time, but even now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. What's the most unexpected thing a child has ever said in one of your classes?
This is another question where because they're children, they're always saying unexpected things.
I know.
Yeah.
Kids say the darndest things, right?
They do. I can't necessarily think of something offhand, but I feel like as the interview goes on, I might remember something.
So we'll circle back to that one. No problem. What arrangement or composition of yours makes you smile every time?
I actually started a composition. Well, it was because of a degree requirement. I did it, and that piece is now being played by people outside of the country. I think it makes me smile mostly because it sort of went from being just an assignment to a piece with like deep significance and deep meaning. So it's called, what is it called? I wrote the name in Chinese and now I can't remember the translation.
Oh.
But it I was doing
What's
a
the
course.
essence of it?
It's
Because
about
I know
like letting
sometimes it doesn't
it's called
literally
Be at
translate.
Peace. It's
Sorry?
called Peace. Be
Be
at
at peace.
Yeah. So it's a song I wrote in memory of my grandmother. So this year would have been 14 years since she passed. And the essence of the piece is using the pan to mimic something called the Chinese zhong, which is think about how the harp sounds, how you have that light kind of fairy-like sound. That's what the zhong sounds like. So I kind of took inspiration from that because of how light and airy it was sounding, and I sort of morphed it into this composition in memory.
Okay. How do you approach arranging for learners with special needs?
Honestly, I've never actually done a full arrangement like band style for learners with special needs simply because they usually opt to have classes as a very small group, meaning that the number is not going to pass four, which makes it a little bit limited to try to do an arrangement for all of these pans unless I just work with one pan. So for me, I usually try to choose something that they know already, especially if it's little kids. We're gonna do a nursery rhyme. We're gonna do a song from their favorite cartoon, something along those lines. And in doing so, I'm gonna pick out the parts that are easy to sing. You know, the same way that you would do a regular steel band arrangement, but you have to simplify it. So if you have something da 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 da, so you're gonna play da 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 da, like hit the main points of it, so that they know,
Right.
okay, this is the song I'm playing, and they still haven't, you know, they still it's still a little bit fun.
It's more playable for them.
Yeah, it varies based on age.
Okay. Okay. All right. Trinidad All-Star Senior Academy
Mhm.
in one word.
It's eye-opening.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
For you, for the members, or for those witnessing?
I think for everybody. For everybody. Well, the first thing is when people hear senior academy, they think it's elderly people. But
Mm-hmm.
senior simply means that people are over 18. But
Right.
it just so happened that most of the people in the band, you know, they could probably be my parents in any case. You know, so they're a little bit older than me. A lot of them come and they do it as a hobby. They doing it because they play pan in secondary school and they never got back into it, or because they weren't allowed to, you know, something to just keep their brain going and keep their brains alert and clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed a few of them, they don't think we're gonna do as much as we are doing. So they come into
Mm.
it thinking, okay, this is very simple and this is very basic. I mean, which at points it could be because they are beginners, right? Absolute beginners. But then the growth that they experience within the 15 weeks is like, wow. You know, seeing some of them coming in, they can't even roll properly, they can't find certain notes, they kind of struggling. So then executing two or three tunes at the end of the 15 weeks, it's really a transformative and an eye-opening experience.
I get you. I get why you say that then. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of the instrument. It's really easy to learn to play,
Yeah.
but difficult to master.
Yeah.
All right. What's your dream classroom setup if money and space weren't an issue?
Dream classroom setup. I have so many things on my Pinterest board. But if I could summarize, I would want to separate a practical space from a theory space. And then I think practical space would have to maybe be two spaces because I want to set up my full steel band, but I also want to have what I would call play space for the neurodivergent learners where we're gonna do the sensory activities, the rhythm and dancing and stuff like that. So it has to be a very big practical space. And then the theory part of it, I'm not sure if I'm very fond of the desk and chair setup, especially when it comes to the neurodivergent learners. So if we get some little beanbag chairs or something, you know, something to make them comfortable. Because sometimes
Um,
people might be in my class, they're standing at the back of the class, they're standing at, and it doesn't bother me. But if I go into an institution and the students are doing that, the teachers might tell them, sit down, you know, and like seeing it as them being disrespectful. It doesn't really bother me because I know what's happening. But I was also one of those students who would just stand and like observe. I'm paying attention, but I can't sit and learn.
yeah. Yep.
So that I think that would be my dream classroom setup.
Okay, you're not asking for a lot though. That's good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think you I think you'll achieve that in short order.
yeah.
All right. What's the best piece of advice you ever received from a fellow female panelist?
This piece of advice is from Dr. Mia Gormany Benjamin. She said, well, it's two things, right? Life keeps going, whether or not you decide to go. And the other one,
True.
if you don't ask, your answer is always gonna be no. Yeah.
That's true. You have
Yeah.
nothing to lose by asking. Because if you don't
Exactly.
ask, it's no anyway, right?
Exactly.
Wise words. Wise words from Dr. Mia.
Yeah.
What does composing for Pan offer you that performing doesn't?
I think for me, composing sort of taps into my brain a little bit more than performing. Honestly, I prefer to compose and I prefer to do things that might be like doing stuff on the back end than performing. Performing, everybody is perceiving you. But when you are
And
composing,
judging you.
yeah, but when you are composing, you get to just do everything and hand off the piece, say, okay, these are my program notes, and this is what I would like it to sound like. And you work with them. We work with them afterwards. Whereas performing, you're on stage, you have to be mindful of your energy, you have to make sure you're playing the correct thing, make sure you're interacting with your audience. There's a lot of stuff that happens in performing.
Yeah, I feel you. You get to kind of hide behind your music
Yeah. I
when
mean, I
you
don't want to say it
perform.
like that, but yeah.
Come on, let's call it as it is. I like that too. All right. What makes an activity book work for both fun and learning? Having written one yourself.
It's a lot of things. When I designed the coloring and activity book, initially it was just gonna be a coloring book. But in my mind, I'm like, have I ever finished a coloring book like me as a child? Or, I can't recall me ever finishing a coloring book, because it sort of gets monotonous after a while. So I feel as though if you include the play aspect, where it's like, okay, unscramble these words, or let's design our own pan sticks, for example, right? Because I have a section where I ask you to design certain things, so you sort of like get to put your own band together through the book itself. Um, I think it sort of helps because when you design, it's like, okay, well, how come this stick looks this way and this stick looks that way? So then you get to make the distinction. Okay, this is for bass and this is for tenor, for example.
Yeah.
Same thing with the different types of pans. How come this pan is just one, but then this pan has six or this pan has four? So there's a lot of questioning gonna come up because you know how kids operate. Is a lot of questioning gonna come up, and I think through the repetition of certain things, that's how you get to learn.
You know, there are adults that ask that question to this day. How
Mm.
come? What's the difference between the one that is one and the one that is four?
Yeah, so the front of it specifically says, I have it here, ages 4 to 10 and curious grown-ups.
I love that. I love that because coloring is an adult thing these days.
Yeah.
It's perfect. All right. One visual art form you'd love to merge with pan in the future.
I really like painting. Painting is something that I sort of picked up during the pandemic, just for picking it up sake. And I feel as though a lot of times, if you visit museums and stuff, you could sort of draw inspiration because I do remember, I think it's called synesthesia, where like colors have sounds and stuff like that. I feel like it's very easy to draw inspiration from paintings of certain things based on how vibrant it is, how big the canvas is, and like sort of come up with a piece. So I feel as though it might be a really cool idea to merge a piece of music with like a painting or like a collection of works.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoken as a true composer, always looking for that stimuli. Woman in steel. What does that phrase mean to you personally?
I feel as though it represents the evolution of the steel band as a whole. Coming from a art form where women or girls weren't allowed in the pan, yeah, they weren't allowed to play pan. You had a lot of restrictions, and now some of the best people in the industry are actually women, whether it be conducting, teaching, arranging, like tuning as well, tuning and grooving and stuff like that. So for me, it's like whatever the man could do, the woman could also do. It's an
Right
equal
on.
playing field now.
Right on, sister. Right on. All right. What keeps you connected to your faith in all of the work that you do?
For me, I think everything comes back to purpose. I sort of arrived at a space in my spiritual journey where I straight up ask God, can you tell me so and so? Can you tell me so and so? It might sound crazy, but like sometimes right before I go to bed, I'm like, okay, I have this idea for so. Can you tell me if it might work and like show me things, through my dreams or whatever the case might be. I think that has helped me a lot. And coming back to the question of purpose, I always felt as though I was really good at teaching people things or like explaining things. And I realized certain things that worked and didn't work for me in the classroom. And then becoming a teacher myself, I realized that a lot of kids who have behavior issues, who have this, who have that, it's not necessarily that they have behavior issues. They have something else happening. You know, it's not necessarily home. It could be like a mind thing. Some of them are on the spectrum with behavior issues. Some of them might have ADHD, you know. Like it have a whole host of things happening, but because they're given trouble, they're not at the top of the class, they get passed off as troublemakers and they kind of fall through the system. So I think I look at them and I'm like, if I ever have a child that happens to be like them, I would want people to pay attention to my child and make sure that my child is learning. You know, don't just push my child to the side because they're learning differently. So I think for me, it comes from a place of not wanting that for the people around me. So I'm trying to change and work with what I can while I'm in certain spaces.
That's really inspirational. And as educators, we have to like not look for the line of least resistance because everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
Um, different things make them tick. Sometimes you just have to take the extra time
Mm,
to really figure out what the needs of this child as an individual are.
yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes they turn into adults as well that are also afraid of doing certain things because they would have been yelled at or
Mm,
just fall through the cracks again as a child. So they grow up as an adult and they still have the same mentality. They don't think that
yeah.
people are going to look out for them.
Yeah. It's crucial teaching at this very transformative and formative years of their lives because it practically shaping the people that we're dealing with on a daily basis as adults.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. One song you've never arranged, but you dream of doing it one day.
I like K-pop. I have a lot of K-pop songs that I want to do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I sort of realized as well that a lot of K-pop songs have pan in them.
Mm.
Um,
Is that true?
yeah. Like off the top of my head, I could probably name like six,
Wow.
at least six.
Do
And
you think that's intentional or they just use it as a tone from the synthesizer? How is that?
I think it's a tone because I mean I can't know for sure, but I'm
Yeah.
almost 100% certain that all of the tones that they use are electronic. So it's like,
Okay.
okay, this sounds really good from the synthesizer in production, so let's keep this, you know, without actually realizing, oh, this is the steel pan, this is, you know, like without going deeper into it, it just sounds good, so let's put it onto the record.
That's real cool. I
Yeah.
wonder if 50 Cent did that when he did his song. So that's just popular.
Yeah, that's
But then and I was like, is that couldn't be intentional?
yeah.
But who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
But I actually created a whole playlist on my YouTube with like mainstream like pop songs and stuff that have pan on it. I think it's at
What?
50 or 60 something songs right now.
I need to get that playlist. I'll play some of them on my show. That's absolutely fantastic. I'm always looking for pan in unconventional, unexpected places.
Yeah.
So share that playlist with me. I'd
Yeah,
love to
of
hear
course.
that. So what would you title your next Steelpan education book? Because if you're anything like the person I think I know, you're probably already thinking about another
I am.
book.
So the other one, it's gonna be tailored to not necessarily children, but it's gonna be more journal style, more reflective on your journey with pan. You're also learning, so you're gonna learn it's gonna build a little bit more on what I put out in the first place, and it's gonna start like pushing you up into not necessarily like an academic setting per
Mhm.
se, but you're gonna learn a lot more than you would have learned from the first edition.
Okay, so like a book two to book one, but
Yeah,
different
yeah.
style. I like that. I knew you were thinking of something. All right. If Steelpan, this is a kind of crazy question, but I have to throw in a couple of crazy ones, right? So if Steelpan had a cartoon series,
Uh-huh.
what would your character be called?
I feel like I would want to stay as myself,
Okay.
but as a some sort of superhero or somebody with like these magic powers. So like every time I touch the pan, it just sounds really good. Like, the tone is good, the quality is good. It's always so shiny and, I think that that would be me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I asked a couple of people questions about them as superheroes, so it's nice that you went there yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna finish up with this. To teach Pan is to.
To teach pan is to pass on like a legacy, to pass on a tradition, to pass on not just my experience, but the experiences of the people that came before me and who came before them and who started the instrument. Is a legacy of resistance and creativity and turning a bad situation into something that's on the other side. So something that's now extremely good, extremely recognized, extremely awarded. I think that's what teaching pan is to me.
That's awesome. I love that.
That was Sachelle Thomas, and if this episode didn't stir something within you, hit rewind. From building programs for learners of all abilities to turning coloring books into cultural tools, she's proof that Pan doesn't need to be redefined. It just needs to be reintroduced. Until next time, keep your teaching bold, your notes clear, and your impact wide. Stay in tune.
Hi, I'm Sachelle, the steel pan connoisseur, and you are staying in tune with In Tune.